Hello again, round two on this Friday, the second Bernie Miklasz show episode of the day. We talked about that big football matchup in the NFL Sunday, the Chiefs at the Bills. Check that one out. Talked a lot about Mahomes and Allen and this great rivalry, and picked the winner. Gave you some possible wagering advice. If you want to check that out, if not, that's fine. Thank you for your support. Thanks for subscribing. And now we get into part two, which is not football. It is little Cardinals talk. And I'm going to change it up just a bit because when we talk about the Cardinals going into whatever the heck we're calling 2025, certainly not all in, but also not all out, right? In other words, I think they're going to try to be respectable. I think they will be respectable, but as they said, John Mozeliak said specifically, they'll probably take a step back in 2025, and that's all right because they got to fix the problems that they have down below and to modernize their farm system and their player development and restore it to its previously elite levels because it's frankly been an embarrassment to the franchise pedigree. So I'm all good with that. I don't really care about payroll or any of that stuff. And for 2025, in fact, if the Cardinals do pretty good in 2025, as far as like finding out what they claim they want to find out, that's more money they can spend going into 2026. That's the way I look at it. And yeah, they'll be held accountable along those lines. But I've said this a million times to the point of being boring to you all. I really don't want to see them throw more money into a bonfire pit, okay? For 2025, if that would make you happy, yeah, it'll make you happy for a minute until the Cardinals aren't any good and they don't get anything out of their spending, and then you'll be the first complaining about that. That's the way we are as sports fans. I'm guilty of that too. All right, here's what I want to talk about because to me, because of the situation the Cardinals are going into, heavy emphasis on player development, young players, let the young kids play, all this stuff, opportunities for the youths, as a hockey player would say, opportunity for the youths. I like that. It can be exciting. But the one thing we don't talk about, and let me leave it to myself, the one thing I haven't talked about, and that's why I'm talking about it today, instead of talking about the guys that are already Cardinals and some of them getting expanded opportunities, right? And we know who they are by now. What about down there at AAA in Memphis? What about AA Springfield? My point being is that those guys, the best and the brightest at those levels, could absolutely factor into the 2025 season. And I think that we'll all be maybe monitoring that a lot more closely next season because you never know who is going to get the call. And under different circumstances, they maybe wouldn't get the call or it wouldn't happen until late in the season. But if opportunities abound, as the Cardinals say, and as I explained to you, I'm a little cynical about that because if it is going to be the season of opportunity for the young and let's play the kids, okay, then that means Miles Michaelis and Steven Matz wouldn't be in the rotation, right? Right? Cardinals have some young starting pitchers they can put in there if it's all about the young. Oh, that's right. Payroll politics. Never mind. Yeah, if the Cardinals have wasted money on pitchers, they'll continue to give them a job in the rotation or the bullpen. Merit doesn't have a damn thing to do with it, right? We're going to play the kids. Oh, it's funny how that gets thrown out, right? As soon as manager Marmol announces the rotation, and it's got Miles Michaelis in it, and it's got Steven Matz in it, and it's got some like a couple of kids probably should be in the rotation, like Michael McGreevy, right? Won't be in the rotation. Yeah, okay. But we going to play the kids. Okay, yeah. Yep. Gotcha. Am I cynical or what? I also like how since I'm on this kick, I also like the Andre Palante thing. I've read 2 or 3 comments from Cardinals baseball people that, or as translated by the media, covers the team, along the lines of like, well, Palante, Palante did a nice job. He'll have a chance to earn a spot in the rotation. What? Palante's not a kid, by the way, but he's still young. But they put Palante in the rotation on May the 29th, and he stayed there, and he made 20 starts, and his ERA from May 29th to the end of the season was the best in the rotation. It was better than Sonny Gray. Yeah. It was better than Lance Lynn. It was better than Kyle Gibson. It was better than Miles Michaelis. In fact, his ERA was about a run and a half better than Miles Michaelis. So the guy that was your best starting pitcher, let's see, June, July, August, September, October. So the final 4 months showed he could be a good, solid major league star. So, he'll get a chance to earn a job. Oh, is that right? But Michaelis has already got the job, right? Right? Unless he, gets hurt or something, and I don't wish that on him. And then maybe Matt has the jobs, but your best starting pitcher, ERA-wise, from May 29th to the end of the season, he'll get a chance. He'll get a chance. Okay. Are we sure that Chaim Bloom can't take over like now? Like everything? Maybe, please. Pretty please. Just kidding. That ain't going to happen. All right, let me get started. I'm wasting time, but it's Friday and I'm wound up, right? I'm close to a college football and NFL weekend. All right, two sites that I subscribe to and respect very much, Baseball America and Baseball Prospectus. The timing was right. They both came out with a look at the Cardinals prospects. And Baseball Prospectus, as a matter of fact, not only discussed who their top prospects were, but they gave an estimated time of arrival in the big leagues. Now, it's not an exact science, right? But it's just interesting to reference it for you, and I'm happy to do that. J.J. Weatherholt, the 7th overall pick in the 2024 draft. He was Baseball America's number 3 player, and Baseball America at one point had him as the 1st overall talent, but he had a chronic hamstring injury last year at West Virginia, and so therefore he dropped, and some teams got all nervous Nelly about it. I didn't realize that a hamstring thing was a career-ending risk type of injury. It's like, he'll never be able to play again. So there's a real good chance we'll never be able to see the young boy play. So you better. I don't know if I'd even draft him. I might put him in the undraftable category because he had a hamstring. Those things can be fatal. Those things are life-threatening. So a lot of teams got scared, and the Cardinals had a bonanza because he could have been really the best pure hitter in the draft, and now the Cardinals got him at number 7. Good job to Randy Flores. It was kind of a no-brainer, but good job nonetheless. Anyway, the J.J. Weatherholt is their top prospect. In fact, he is in September, he was named the number 23 prospect in all of the major leagues. And which is pretty good because he only played, a couple months of high A baseball once he got drafted down there in Palm Beach. And he hit well, didn't hit for like tremendous power. That's going to come, but great plate discipline, high batting average, high walk rate, high on base percentage, all that good stuff. So a couple of interesting things from Baseball America first. They project that J.J. Weatherholt's going to wind up at third base, which is interesting to me. And J.J. Weatherholt could be here rather quickly. I'm not talking about early in 2025. I'm not even talking about June or July of 25. But Baseball Prospectus forecast, or they say his estimated time of arrival will be late in the 2025 season. I can see that because he's going to be a fast riser. He's hits, man. He hits and hits and hits. In fact, Baseball America had J.J. Weatherholt listed as their best hitting prospect for average, their best hitting prospect for power, and their best hitting prospect in terms of strike zone discipline. They could use some of that, right? This young man ain't going to stand there and watch strikes go by, right? Oh, he threw me one right down the middle. Oh, I'll be ready next time. No, the young man will attack meatballs, okay? And they need more of those types up here between the ears, right? We agree they need some of that IQ, baseball IQ up, going up. Yeah, yeah, we definitely agree on that. So JJ Weatherholt is pretty exciting, and as it turns out, Baseball America, one of their draft experts, who's really good, Jeff Pontes, and I hope I'm saying his name correctly. He actually hosted a chat Friday afternoon, right as I was preparing this video for y'all. And a Cardinals fan on the chat asked Jeff Pontes, says, "Well, what is your time of arrival for JJ Weatherholt?" And here is the answer from the Baseball America prospect expert. Quote, "My guess is Weatherholt breaks camp with AA Springfield with the potential midseason ETA, as in major leagues. If Weatherholt hits, there's no reason not to view him as the heir to Nolan Arenado at third base." Pontes continued, quote, "I believe Thomas Saggese gets a good long look as the everyday second baseman next season. If the rumors are true and Arenado is moved to a contender sometime between now and the trade deadline, Weatherholt would have a clear path to playing time, meaning third base. As far as the player, he has a really nice blend of excellent plate skills, raw power, and some twitch. The scouts love that twitch factor." Jeff Pontes concluded, quote, "There's shades of Alex Bregman here, in my opinion." So that's encouraging, because this isn't the Cardinals trying to spread the propaganda and the local media, gobbling it up. I always like to go to the independent, neutral prospect evaluators. And listen, this stuff is not, you can fine tune it with any kind of certainty. You just never know, right? But I think this dude's got the real hit tool. I think there's no question about it. And I like knowing, and he's not, Jeff Pontes and Baseball America aren't the only people that see Weatherholt as their next third baseman, presuming Arenado is traded, right? And I know that Nolan Gorman is in line to maybe get a shot at third base, his natural position, when if Arenado is traded, and that still could be true. But it's interesting, when I was looking at Baseball America's, they were looking into the future. And of course, when you look into the future and you project a starting lineup, right, it doesn't take into account anybody you will acquire between now and the start of the 2028 season, whether it's another draft pick, whether there's some people they get in trades, if they moved Ryan Helsley or Arenado or Sonny Gray or whomever. There could be new arrivals between now and the start of 2028. So it's not, what I'm saying is, don't hold Baseball America too accountable on this. It's like, well, they got to be crazy. That guy's not going to be starting in 2028. And you know what? Probably not. But they have no choice but to project based on who's on the organization right now. I'm just trying to be fair to them. I'm a subscriber and I treasure their work. I think they're really, really smart. So just for kicks, with the people in their system now, here is a position by position starting lineup for 2028. Herrera's the catcher. Gorman's the first baseman. Saggese's the second baseman. Some guy named Wynn is the shortstop. JJ Weatherholt at third base. Left field, Burleson. Center field, Victor Scott, the second. Right fielder, they put Brendan Donovan. And your designated hitter is Jordan Walker. Now, we could quibble with that. I think the next year or two are going to be really big for Burleson. He really faded as the season went on last year. Only hit a couple home runs over the final couple months. So I think he'll be fine. But again, I'm not going to assume that. All right, in 2028, again, with people that are already in the Cardinals organization, here is the projected starting rotation. And closer for 2028. Number 1 starter, Quinn Matthews. Yes. Number 2 starter, Tink Hence. Yes. Number 3 starter, Andre Palante. Yes. But he'll have to earn it. I mean, who knows? Mo, on his final act on the way out, might extend Miles Michaelis again. You never. I'm just kidding. He won't do that. The number 4 starter, Cooper Yerpe, the lefty, right? He's got good stuff. I think I could see that. And the 5th starter, Michael McGreevy. We could see that. Again, there's going to be new arms in the organization, but that's as of right now. The closer is an interesting one because it got my little brain to start thinking, if they trade Ryan Helsley, who are some candidates to close? I think it's going to be Ryan Fernandez first in line. You know why? Because he's got one of the nastiest, filthiest sliders in Major League Baseball. He was a rookie last year, and his out pitch, his big-time hammer pitch was a slider. Opponents hit 180 against it. His swing and miss rate with the slider, Ryan Fernandez, was 44%, and the strikeout rate on at bats that ended with the slider, 36.5%. That's closer stuff right there. Okay. But I brought that up because for 2028, Baseball America has the projected closer of people that are here already in the organization, Tekoa Roby, who they got from Texas, along with Sajasi in the trade that sent Jordan Montgomery and the reliever Chris Stratton to the Rangers. Roby's got the stuff to be a closer. He does. He's got a fastball that 95 miles an hour and up. He's got a really good curveball. In fact, the best curveball in the organization, according to Baseball America, or at least among the prospects. He's just got to stay healthy. But I could see that. I could see that scenario. That's down the road a bit. All right. As far as I mentioned that Baseball America projects J.J. Weatherholt to arrive late 2025. What about some of the other guys who we just referenced to? Baseball America projects Quinn Matthews to arrive early in 2025. I would hope so. Listen, he ain't no Miles Michaelis, okay? Well, actually, he's not. I think he's probably got some more ability. But he'll have to beat out that Miles Michaelis if John Mozeliak ain't saying the matter, right? All right, I'm laying it on thick. I apologize for being obnoxious. I hope that at least a few of you are laughing at that because I know you kind of feel the way I do about this situation. Okay, Tink Hence arrives. It doesn't say when, 2025. I did see a comp with Tink Hence, if you're wondering. The comp would be Freddie Peralta. That's interesting. I kind of like that one, right? The catcher, Jimmy Crooks. The catcher, Jimmy Crooks, who something tells me Cardinals fans, media, going to be swooning over Jimmy Crooks. Just absolutely swooning over Jimmy Crooks because he's a left-handed bat and he's got power. He hits for average. He's got plate discipline. He's like a bulldog behind the plate. Going to get dirty all the time, right? Going to be throwing his body in front of things. Oh, yeah. You want the natural successor to Yadier Molina? His name's going to be Jimmy Crooks because the fans are going to demand it. Ivan Herrera, who's he? Anyway, Baseball America's got Jimmy Crooks ETA 2025. I guess that's possible if somebody gets hurt. But you wonder why they move Wilson Contreras to first base? Because he's their best hitter, and they want to keep that catcher job. They're going to have to thin it out. By the way, I was reading Baseball America and Baseball Perspectives, and they're going nuts about some 17-year-old kid who's a catcher. And let me get this now because I don't want to be like tease you and not have a name. A young guy named Rainiel, if I'm saying that right, Rainiel Rodriguez. Estimated time of arrival 2029. Well, he's only 17, but he went into the DSL, which is below. That's where you play before you actually get to Class A. And they were calling him a beast. He's like 17 years old. He's got massive power, and he was just going nuts. I mean, just like hitting moonshots all the time. So the Cardinals have they got so many catchers stacked up on the runway, right? They're going to have to thin it out here. So, and just when you think, well, Jimmy Crooks will take care of it, you got Leonardo Bernal, who's one of their top prospects, and now you have this young beast as a compliment. I mean that. Mr. What's his name? What did I say? Raniel Rodriguez. 17 years old, hitting the ball 5 miles. Anyway, so then we go down the list. Cooper Yerpe, the left-handed pitcher, 2025. Leonardo Bernal, the catcher I just mentioned, 2026. The outfielder Chase Davis, 2026. Takoa Roby, 2025, 2026. And we mentioned him being projected as a closer by Baseball America. So JJ Weatherholt is a pretty exciting guy. And more of a scouting report from Baseball America. Quote, he is adept at attacking all pitch types, producing near identical underlying metrics against fastballs and breaking pitches. Weatherholt rarely expands the zone and should walk at a high rate in the majors. Power is not the primary focus of Weatherholt's approach, but he shows an above-average impact and the ability to elevate the ball consistently, portending mid-20s home run power at peak. Weatherholt, according to Baseball America, produced a 90th percentile exit velocity in his pro debut, 105 miles an hour, plus a 55% hard hit rate, and he showcased above average power. The one concern, other than the hamstring, he's got to show he's put that behind him, is that the scouts would like to see him be able to pull the ball more in the air. He kind of hits to all fields. I say let him hit to all fields, but I get it. For the power to really kick in, this is true of all hitters. The power kicks in when you pull the ball in the air. And by the way, this ain't nothing new. This ain't a fancy pants, advanced analytics, gobbledygook, geek squad, nerd squad stuff. It's always been that way. Give me the name of someone in the 500-plus home run club who hits a ball the opposite field, got all those home runs going the other way. It doesn't happen. So maybe Weatherholt, that's one thing. Once he gets into Major League, he'll start to say, well, listen, I can get some lift on the ball and I can pull it, because he can do anything he wants. So anyway, there are some really, really good positives there. There was a point in time at West Virginia, he also stole 36 bases, but he has not run as much because trying to protect that hamstring. Let me see. That's about it. Baseball America said after he fell to the number 7 pick in the draft, the Cardinals view him as the top prospect in their system and a major part of the future. If Weatherholt gets to his peak power projection and proves he can stick at shortstop, he has all-star upside. In all likelihood, he develops into a third baseman with a plus bat and some star-level peak seasons. Now, what does Baseball Prospectus say about J.J. Weatherholt? And again, the reason I'm bringing him up, we wouldn't have talked about him that much, but you never know what's going to shake out in 2025. If they trade Arenado and Weatherholt starts the season at Double-A and he's going bananas and he's just, nobody can get him out, and he moves up to Memphis and he tears it up there, and he's hitting some of those older, experienced former Major League pitchers you see in Triple-A, and he's pounding those guys. Well, if this is going to be let the kids play in 2025, well, why wouldn't you let this kid play if you need a third baseman? And that's going to be his home in the post-Arenado era, right? So I think he's more in the conversation for 2025 than he would have been at the time they drafted him, is my point. Baseball Prospectus. They, by the way, their top 10 Cardinals prospects: Weatherholt, Matthews, Hentz, Crooks, Sajasi, Yerpe, Leonardo Bernal, Chase Davis. There's our guy, the 17-year-old monster, Raniel Rodriguez, if I'm saying that right, the catcher, and then the young shortstop who's extremely athletic, Yairo Padilla, switch-hitting shortstop. He's got to grow into his body, but he's making all the Cardinals' top prospects lists as well. And I'm going to read you a couple things, so stay with me. Don't go away. Baseball Prospectus had some scathing things to say about a couple of former Cardinals prospects. We'll get to that in a minute. Prospectus said that the Cardinals, it was a pretty big coup for the Cardinals to nab him down the board at the 7th pick. He's got a full complement of skills and tools, the kind of tools that smart teams are searching for these days. The Cardinals will become a smarter team under new management when that takes over. He takes a controlled rip from a steep bat angle. He creates damage in the air. He does so without major swing and miss. He shows strong bat-to-ball skills against fastballs and secondary pitches. In other words, you ain't going to fool him. He makes excellent swing decisions in the zone and even outside of the zone when he maybe wants to hit one the other way. And he recognizes he's got an easy chance to do it. He's unlikely, obviously, to push Mason Wynn off shortstop. That's what Baseball Prospectus says. But the fact that he went from third base to second base to shortstop during his career at West Virginia, he's played plenty at all those positions. So they see him also as a guy that wouldn't have a problem being a third baseman. The only demerits, Baseball Prospectus said, and I alluded to this, the only demerits they can come up with for Weatherholt are, quote, his swing path is not geared to pull the ball in the air much, and he's battled with hamstring issues, which we know about. But he did look fully healthy at the end of his college season and post-draft. He didn't have any problems with it when he started playing low A ball for the Cardinals last year. Anyway, they love him. They say he's the most polished bat in the draft, and his power potential should be slugging better than 400 that he did last year in low A. But his batted ball damage was pretty severe. So they realize this is going to come. He's going to have maybe get it up in the air on the pull side more. They put his upside as a guy that'll be an all-star infielder. We'll take it, right? We told you already what they feel he needs to work on. All right. So from that list, man, you definitely can see, if this is presuming everybody stays healthy, you can definitely see Quinn Matthews in the major leagues early in 2025, if not shortly thereafter. You can definitely see Weatherholt up here. I don't know about Crooks because they have plenty of catchers, but he'd be the next guy in line behind Herrera and Pages. There's a chance we could see Tink Hence. I do think that there's a chance we could see Tink Hence if he stays healthy. You know, at some point, you got to kind of move the young man along, right? I've said this before, and I'm being facetious, of course, but it's almost like Tink Hence has been on the top Cardinals prospect list since like 1993. You know, I mean, let's move it. Let's move it. Let's move that thing along. Okay. Can we move that up? Can we push that forward a little bit? Thank you. Anyway, now you want some salty stuff? This was Baseball Prospectus reviewing the Cardinals' best players that are 25 and under. 25 and under. Can I read you the list? Because that has some guys that are on the team right now. Top talents, Baseball Prospectus, age 25 and under. Number 1, J.J. Weatherholt, most talented guy. Number 2, Mason Wynn. Yeah, they put him above Mason Wynn. Number 3, Quinn Matthews, the lefty out of Stanford. Number 4, Ivan Herrera. Number 5, Tink Hence. Number 6, Jordan Walker. Number 7, the fabulous Jimmy Crooks. Number 8, Thomas Ajacey. Number 9, Cooper Yerpe, the lefty pitcher. Number 10, all the way down to number 10, Nolan Gorman. I thought you would want me to make note of that. Here's what Baseball Prospectus had to say about Walker kind of sliding down to number 6, age 25 and under, the Cardinals organization. He said, quote, they said, quote, our number 2 overall prospect 2 off seasons ago, Walker spent the last 2 years virtually never pulling the ball in the air hard while playing some of the worst outfield defense of the 2020s. He will start the season at age 22. He can still hit the ball hard, although on the ground. And he has non-negligible contact and swing decision ability. So it's not totally out of the question that he turns everything around. But Baseball Prospectus said he desperately needs to have his outfield glove confiscated and may just need a change of scenery for new voices in hitting development. Yeah, we've all thought about that before, although I do want to see what the new hitting coach, Brant Brown, can do with him, because if Albert Pujols loves Brant Brown, that's good enough for me. And at least they won't have a hitting coach next season whose number one job is it to make sure that Paul Goldschmidt's comfortable. You know, well, okay, Goldie, let's go work. Let's go work. Maybe work with some of those young guys. Oh, Goldie, I'll be in the cab. I'll be over there in the cab. Goldie. Yeah, you need a little more than that in your batting coach. All right. I'm mean. I can't help it. It just frustrated the hell out of me last year. Here's what Baseball Prospectus said about Nolan Gorman. Nolan Gorman was a top 40 prospect in the majors for 4 years running for us, 2019 through 2022. Like Walker, he still hits the ball pretty hard, but his bat-to-ball skill is a huge problem. He whiffed against nearly 45% of secondary pitches in 2024. The natural third baseman has admirably battled second base to a draw, given the presence of Nolan Arenado at third. But he is a trade candidate now for good reason, which got me to thinking. Some of the things we've mentioned, let's tie it together. Okay. Baseball America and Baseball Prospectus, they do view the most obvious landing spot for Weatherholt in the Cardinals infield at third base, because they already got Mason Wynn. They got too many second basemen. And if Arenado gets traded before this season or after the All-Star break or whatever, third base is wide open. So if Weatherholt is the guy that you're going to be plugging in and you view him as your third baseman of the future, and maybe they don't, again, I would like to know what Chaim Bloom thinks, because I trust his opinion on these matters infinitely more than the people that have been making these decisions in the past. So if Arenado's gone, whenever, Weatherholt's plugged in at third because you want his bat in the lineup, and he's not going to display. You got more than enough people to handle second base and handled it pretty well, right? Unless you're going to move Gorman to first base down the road, but you got 3 years left with Contreras, and he's a hell of a hitter, okay? I mean, again, let's appreciate how good of a hitter he is instead of being bizarrely negative about this guy all the time. It's really just strange. But anyway, I digress. If they stick with Contreras at first base for 3 years, 3 more years, I guess Gorman could be a DH, but you might have to make Walker a DH. You might have to use a Burleson at DH. I could see where, in theory, you swap out Arenado, you put in Weatherholt. That would make Gorman more tradable. But, of course, there's other ways to look at it, and I've already talked 33 and a half minutes. Yeah, you could move him to first base anyway, and then maybe trade Contreras in a year if he would be more willing to go. Or, you know, there's a lot of ways to look at it. The one way not to look at it is to type a response here under the thing. So Lucan Baker's got to be their first baseman. I like Lucan Baker, all right? And can I use like an ancient baseball reference, please? He ain't Jimmy Fox, okay? It's just he's not Jimmy Fox. So I don't know where he's going to fit in, but there are some ways they can play around with the personnel. But if Weatherholt's your third baseman, my point being, it opens up a lot of other possibilities, at least. Is there anything else that I left out? I wanted to be comprehensive with this because I thought there was a lot of good stuff to pass along to you. All right, that'll do it. Listen, you have a fabulous weekend, and we'll be back Monday morning, maybe Sunday morning, actually, to do a review of the Mizzou at South Carolina game. That's going to be a long, long game for the Mizzou Tigers. South Carolina is really good right now. 2-point loss at Alabama. They could have won it. consecutive wins over Oklahoma, Texas A&M, and Vanderbilt by an average of 24.6 points. No one can block their pass rush, and their young quarterback can run you into the ground and pass you into the ground, going over your head, making you dizzy. South Carolina, unless they just revert back and just become a stinking mess for one game. I mean, they're the number 15 team in the FPI, and the Sagarin ratings have the Gamecocks number 10 in the country. Mizzou's had 2 road games this year that matter, and they got outscored 75-10 by A&M and Alabama. So there's your Mizzou preview. I'm going to be back Sunday morning with a recap with my analysis, my opinions on whatever the heck is going to happen tomorrow in Columbia, South Carolina. Anyway, thank you. I'll quit rambling now. You all have a wonderful weekend.